Hi again, everybody. My name is Greg Anderson, and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. And today I have this watch here. I need to change the battery on this watch. As you can see, battery has gone flat. There's nothing going on here. This is kind of a special watch as far as the Good Timekeeping Show is concerned. You see, back when I bought this, just a little more than 5 years ago, I only had about a dozen watches, and not very many of them were radio controlled or had built-in atomic time reception. And so about 5 years ago, the Sears store that was closest to my house was going out of business. And I went over there to check out and see if they had any good closeout deals on some stuff they were discounting as they were closing down the store. And this was the most interesting watch I found there. There were some other Casios and other brands of watches there, but this one was the only one there in the store at the time that had the Wave Ceptor technology built-in atomic time reception. So I bought this. It only cost me somewhere between $20 and $25. And I thought, I wonder if Casio has any other great watches that have built-in atomic time reception. And kind of the rest is history, as they say. I bought about 150 more watches from Casio since then, but this is the watch that really started it all off. So this is the WV-58A. As you can see, there are just 4 screws holding the back on there. This watch is, by specifications, supposed to run about 3 years between battery changes, but this one went for about 5 years before the battery went out, and I think part of the reason it lasted so long, it may be that Casio's estimates are a little bit conservative. Also, I almost never used the backlight on this watch, so that may have played a factor in lasting for so long. But now it's time to change the battery. This one uses the lithium CR1620 battery, so I got one standing by right here, brand new battery, and minimal tools here to do this job. I've never opened this watch up before, but let's just kind of see what's inside there. I like to use some of this microfiber cloth just so that if any small pieces kind of bounce around while I'm doing this, they don't get lost. They'll just kind of land on the cloth and they won't roll off onto the table, onto the floor. There are some tiny pieces in here to worry about, especially these 4 screws. Let's take those 4 screws off and see what's inside this case. There's a little metal plate that holds the battery in place, and I used a sewing pin to kind of release that from a little clip inside the watch that was holding it in place. Then there was a sticker attached to that plate and also kind of stuck to the back of the battery. So I carefully used the tweezers to kind of release the sticker from the battery, leaving the sticker in place but letting the battery come out freely. Before I get too far, one thing you got to worry about, or you should take a note of, there's kind of that little gold spring thing right there. And if that falls out, I don't think it's going to fall out on this watch, but on some watches that might fall out. You got to make sure you put it right back where it belongs, because that makes a little bit of a connection against the case back of the watch. And somehow that is essential to the watch being able to beep correctly. So just keep an eye out for that little spring right there. Anyway, now that this is, the battery compartment is empty, I should be able to take my brand new battery, which is right here. I'm going to just slide this in. And I know some people are saying, oh, you should never do this without gloves on. Your fingerprints are going to destroy the watch. I've never had that problem, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. But just make sure your hands are clean before you do this. I'm going to slide that in, and as I tap this, it'll kind of re-engage the clip there and also slide the battery into the perfect alignment. If I push that, I can kind of feel and hear when it clicks, and now it's in place. Now if I turn it around, the watch is running already, but one thing I need to do is an all clear. So there's an AC right there where that says AC. There's a contact at the bottom of that hole next to the AC. And so I need to take something that conducts electricity, like, for example, this pin, touch it to the bottom contact inside that AC port, if you will, And then I need to also make contact between that and this big metal plate here. So what I'm going to do is just use these metal tweezers to make that contact. And you might not see that very well, but as I do that, you may see that the watch has reset itself once again to 12 o'clock and 0 seconds. That's how it did. So, and now it's back to default setting, January 1st, 2005, 12 o'clock a.m. And so now all I have to do is put the case back on. And again, being careful about that little spring in there. So what I want to do, the case back wants to go on this way. I think what I should do is, and also, you should also pay attention to, there's kind of an O-ring. It's not maybe in the shape of an O, but sort of a rubber O-ring around there. Make sure that's in the right spot. I'm going to take this case back. I'm going to slide this top end into place first. And while it's there, I'm going to wiggle this bottom end and kind of wiggle it around this piece of the watch band that's sticking out. And make sure it gets around that. There we go. Now that's good. Just to kind of double check that it's working. Look, it's even trying to receive the radio control information already. But I'm going to reset that in just a moment. So now that that's in place, I can replace these tiny screws. And basically, I'm done, except for setting, redoing all the settings. So again, when I reinsert and kind of tighten up these screws, I'm gonna go slowly, tighten that one, not all the way, and kind of make sure all 4 of them are essentially in the right place before I, do my final tightening on all of them. And it just takes a moment. Okay, so they're essentially in place. Okay, everything still runs okay. Let me just double check and make sure, yes, the backlight is working. So looks like everything's good here. Now I'm going to just snug these up. And again, the screws are metal, but the case itself is resin or plastic. So I'm not going to crank these down awfully hard. They don't have to be in there super tight. I certainly don't want to strip the screws in the resin or plastic case. But there, I think that's snug enough. All right, so now comes the fun part. I need to set this to the right time zone. So if I press and hold the adjust button, it's saying New York City. Well, I'm going to, and then, okay, I'm going to keep going here. Denver. The Denver time zone is my time zone, or, the mountain time zone of the United States. From here, I could, let's see, automatic daylight saving time, 12-hour display. I could manually set the time, hours, minutes, seconds, and the date, but I'm not going to bother to do that. I'm going to let this watch give it a chance to do that on its own. Since I'm so close to the WWVB transmitter here in North America, usually I can get good Wave Ceptor reception even during the day. For a lot of folks, it has to be overnight for the best reception, but I think this one can set itself. Oh, look, it has the month, day, or date, month setting I can do there. So, okay, all my settings there are good. Now, if I want to, I can press and hold this button down here on the lower right and try to make it set itself. But I think with the video lights I'm running, plus it's the middle of the day here, plus I've got a video camera and a monitor, probably not going to get much of a signal. Normally, segments of this thing that look kind of like a radio tower would start to blink as it's trying to receive, but reception is just not good enough to complete that process now. So what I can do, I'm going to stop that. And then right here, I could manually set the time and the date. I'm just going to maybe leave it this way and just see if it'll set itself throughout the day or overnight. But if I wanted to, I could at least get this close to my proper time, close enough. I don't know. I'll just see what happens. But I'm confident that it will work as soon as reception is better overnight. And then I've got my watch all right back where I want it to be. Again, this is a budget-friendly Wave Ceptor, one of the first ones I ever bought. that just got me going down the pathway towards much fancier and much more feature-packed watches. But this one's still great, 50-meter water resistant, and probably good to go for another 3 to 5 years now with this new battery. So the only tricky thing about it was just making sure that you didn't lose that little gold spring that I told you about, and also just getting this case back on and off correctly, making sure that the little O-ring around there was still in the right place when I put it all back together, and that's really it. So that's all for now. I probably have other watches that I bought around the same time that are going to start to need new batteries soon. So when that happens, I'll make another video. Otherwise, I'll make another video about some other topic. So please come back for more episodes of the Good Timekeeping Show.